There's a question, have all of your findings been given to the FBI and any agency concerned? Maybe we'll all turn and wave to our friends in the federal government who are surely watching this live stream. All right, final question. The others were request to get a copy of the PowerPoint deck. How many laws have been broken? That's a good question.
Let's try to recap a little bit of what was said. It was a lot of information. Do you guys believe that this was illegal or unethical, incompetent? Because I did find it interesting that Lori didn't say, like, she didn't answer that. The last question, like, is she going, did she commit a crime? She didn't answer the question.
All right, final question. The others were request to get a copy of the PowerPoint deck. How many laws have been broken? That's a good question, but impossible to quantify. Thank you all. Thank you all for your time and attention.
Which I found particularly interesting. Did Henyard commit a crime or just incompetent and basically just almost destroyed the village? Well, unethical is usually illegal, but so I found that interesting. I'll just say that. I did find that, and yeah, you're right, it wasn't a criminal investigation, but also she may not want to step on the investigation offense. So we could try to recap what was said during this meeting. So I know you guys were pretty bored in the beginning because you guys wanted the hot tea and the hot mess early, but Lightfoot wanted to give us, she wanted to educate us. Okay, now the one thing that we can help Lori Lightfoot out is hopefully next time she gets some ginger tea or like throat lozenges or honey, some hot tea, because she obviously was probably having some kind of cold. I know people say that she talks that way normally, but it's cold outside. People get sick during this time of year. But she wanted to let us know, like, Dalton operates under a trustee form of government. Mayor, trustees, key employees, sharing responsibilities of running the village. Trustees are supposed to oversee the decisions and make sure everything is following the rules laid out in Illinois law, right? Got the mayor, got the village administrator, director of finance, and Illinois law sets clear rules on how a village is supposed to operate. Clearly, Henyard did not follow those rules, right? Budgets are supposed to be approved early in the fiscal year, and there's supposed to be audits that's supposed to be conducted every year, shared with the state. Apparently, there's a lot of municipalities that are not following that. Any spending beyond the budget requires 2/3 votes by the trustees. When these rules are followed, everything is hunky-dory, transparent. Everyone is doing pretty well when those rules are followed. But in Dalton, Henyard didn't give a damn about those rules. That's why we all here, looking at the financial mismanagement of Dalton. The fact that there's missing and delayed financial records. Dalton did not file the required financial records on time, or some weren't filed at all. Important audits and financial statements were missing.
The fact of the matter is that for the last several years, the village's auditor had been an accounting firm, an auditing firm known as Lauterbach and Amann. Draft audits for fiscal year 2022 were completed, but they were never finalized. And then Lauterbach and Amann resigned as auditor on October 27, 2024, effective immediately, which is essentially less than 3 weeks after we had our first public disclosure of the true financial condition of the village.
Leaving everyone confused in the dark about where the money, how's it being spent? Like, what's going on here, right? The village auditors quit. They quit late last year. They said, listen, this is not transparent. I'm out. I'm not going to be bothering with this. Like, why are we doing this? Citing issues with financial transparency. So this is basically a lot that we already kind of know. Henyard and her administration are withholding financial information from the trustees. The trustees were basically systematically excluded from learning about the village's true financial condition. And
the mayor, in effect, told him that he should never contradict her in public, and that he should shade the truth. By November of 2021, a split between Henyard and certain trustees was in full bloom and played out in the trustees' shrinking access to village financial information. And on January 22nd, 2022, Mayor Bali again transmitted the December financials and a corresponding memo to the full list, including the trustees. But by February 9th, Trustee Steve sent an email to Barabali and others objecting to not having received payroll reports for approval and saying that he would not provide his consent for approval by the board if he did not receive those payroll records.
There were routine process of overspending, spending a lot of money without any proper justification. Probably all that money was spent for with the ice skating rink, getting ice tiles. I don't know. Now we know if you want to build an ice skating rink, you need the tiles, and you need about like almost $40,000 worth of them. So that's the problem with the purchasing policies. Dalton's policy requires checks and approvals to prevent overspending. Like, I think, for instance, I think they said the department heads can only approve expenses up to $1,000. The village administrator can approve up to, I think, $5,000. Anything above $5,000 must go to the trustees for approval. So when these rules aren't followed, some purchases didn't go through the proper approval process, and others had no receipts to explain what the money was used for. Now, again, a lot of stuff we kind of already know, but at the same time, it's important for us to kind of recap. I think Lori Lightfoot's report was solid, brought the context to everything that's been done into our conversation. And then what's the next big thing? The misuse of credit cards. The village spent a lot of money on credit cards. I think it was spent over $775,000 on credit cards from 2021 to 2023. Many of the purchases were vague, not explained, charged like meals. What's going on with the meals? Oh, miscellaneous expenses. Without those receipts and oversight, it's hard to know if these expenses were legitimate. And the problem is there's so many lawsuits and legal challenges. So I guess they got the official number. Under Henyard's tenure, 48 lawsuits were filed against the village. 48. That's a lot of lawsuits, right? It was 12 lawsuits over FOIA violations, 8 lawsuits from vendors claiming improper, I guess they not get their licenses. So it was like, hey, I'm not getting your license. You're kind of holding up the works. You could talk about what happened recently with the owner of the St. Patrick's, I guess, steakhouse, this big building. And from earlier on, this videos I've done at this point, it could be 10 months ago. It looks like the typical thing that happens in Henyard's situation, her circle. She gets real cool with people, and then eventually they have a falling out because that building was sold from Kamal. Kamal sold the person who used that property to build the steakhouse. So they had to have been cool at one point, and then I guess someone didn't do what the other person wanted. You could say maybe Henyard wanted something from this person that they didn't provide anymore. I mean, the people who run the St. Patrick, I forgot her name, they donated to Henyard's campaign. So I don't know what happened between now and then, but Henyard seems to have a lot of falling out with many people. I mean, she was really cool with Trustee Carlisle from Thornton Township. Now they're beefing. Keith Freeman. So it just looks like in Henyard's circle, this type of thing happens where they're cool at one point and then things kind of go in the wrong direction, right? So Henyard found herself in indirect criminal contempt for failing to sign the liquor license after multiple court orders. Just some of the things that was said by Lori Lightfoot, the withholding of information. Henyard allegedly directed staff to stop sharing financial reports with the trustees. That sounds illegal. When I think about that, I mean, that's definitely unethical. That sounds like that should be a crime, right? How you're telling the people, your staff or other people, to stop sharing financial reports with the trustees. So this created that environment of the lack in transparency that made it hard for the trustees to do their jobs. She also reportedly demanded that spending reports will be sent to her first, giving her control over the information that the trustees can see. That sounds like a crime. Henyard's administration also frequently ignored the village's purchasing policies. We talked about that. This allowed unauthorized spending to happen without any oversight. The large expenses like the credit card charges, the contracts were often approved without following the proper steps. So just off the bat, obviously she should not ever run of anything if these things are happening. If Henyard is running your town, your city, you're not going to know what is being spent, right? This is a really sad part. I realized this when I looked at it. The village missed out on a $5 million in state funding because the administration failed to complete the necessary paperwork.
There was an opportunity for the village of Dalton to take advantage of a $5 million appropriation that had been put in place from one of the state legislatures on behalf of the village of Dalton. This was in the state fiscal year 2023. However, that appropriation, for some reason that we were not able to ascertain, was never taken advantage of, meaning those monies never came into the village of Dalton. So $5 million that could have significantly helped the financial fortunes of this village got recycled and went elsewhere, but never came to the village of Dalton.
So that money could have been helped to improve Dalton's financial situation. That's pretty embarrassing. I think it was also talking about $3 million in federal COVID relief funds that were spent. Some of it went to, again, questionable expenditures. And then the village insurance policies were disrupted due to late or non-payment of fees, leading to higher costs and reduced coverage. When your village is being sued a whole lot, and then you have a mayor that's been sued and there's a lot going on, what kind of insurance company? I mean, think about what happened in California, right? The insurance companies in California knew about the fire, it looks like before anyone else did, when they said, you know what, we're not covering for this because we know eventually the fire is gonna come and burn everything up. So we're not gonna provide coverage for that because we're here to make money. We're here for profits. We're not necessarily here to help anyone. So if an insurance company is looking at this village and seeing all of the issues, why would you provide insurance for them? It's similar to one of my favorite action movie stars, Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan couldn't get insurance for many of the movies that him and his crew were doing because they would perform the stunts for themselves. They didn't necessarily hire stunt doubles. They would do it themselves, and they always got hurt. So an insurance company trying to cover for accidents would not cover them. Like, why? I know you're gonna hurt yourself. You're doing crazy stuff. So at the end, I just feel like there are some mistakes, and I think there's some learning, especially if you are in the village and you are running things and you are the trustees, and take this and learn from. The poor staffing, the oversight, the financial department had a high turnover and long vacancies in key positions like the director of finance. That's a big deal. You probably shouldn't have the director of finance position open for a very long time, right? The village relied heavily on outside contractors to handle finances, which is expensive and less effective than having a full-time in-house team. But I think, the village is only 21,000 people. Maybe they have to do that. I don't know. I think Dalton lacked systems to track spending and enforce rules. There's no centralized purchasing system to ensure the money was spent wisely. The credit card purchases were not properly monitored, leading to wasteful and unapproved spending. These gaps allowed someone like Henyard to spend money like crazy, and it goes unchecked. So she provided some recommendations: increase transparency. You want to obviously strengthen the oversight. The financial department needs more staff and better training to properly ensure that there's oversight, and improve on FOIA processes. I guess Henyard doesn't understand how important FOIA requests and responding to those requests are. They're very important. They need to be responded to in a certain amount of time. You can't just decide, I'm not going to talk to the person trying to get information. It doesn't work that way. And obviously just follow the damn rules. Follow the state laws and its own policies. Get the audits on time. Approve budgets early. All that good stuff. So yeah, I think I don't know, I guess we were all waiting for like a bigger bombshell to happen, but it was just more of consolidating and providing the context of how it should be. And when Lori was talking in the beginning, to how Henyard did the complete and utter opposite. And she had help with Keith Freeman and others that she was able to do this, but this couldn't last forever. Especially when the feds come in, grab Lacey for what he was doing, bankruptcy issues. Keith Freeman, the reason why Keith Freeman is doing his job now is because he's in trouble and he needs to show that, hey, he's going to snitch and he's going to do whatever it takes so he doesn't get as much trouble as he currently is in. Because I remember very early on, Keith Freeman and Henyard were together and he did a lot of terrible stuff. And once he slipped up and wasn't able to file for bankruptcy properly, and the man still owes about six figures to the other city, I think city in Robbins. Yeah, I think he owes money there too. Of course, when the authorities come in asking for more information, he's going to jump in and help out because his ass is on the line. So I don't know if he changed into a better person necessarily. About background checks, now they did recommend to the village that I think they had a list of people that, I think it was Freeman, Lacey and Carmen, that they shouldn't have been hired based on their background check. Background checks are important, especially for working in government. You hired a person, even if they saying all the right things, and they're scam artists like Keith Freeman, allegedly. But again, he owes some money to Robin, so I bet you Robin's probably think he's scammed.